Hey, horror fans, welcome back to another episode of Terror Talk where I discuss creepy clips online. The original horror music that you hear in these videos is composed by me. Now imagine being able to save on everyday expenses and put that money towards your next horror movie outing, spooky decor, or haunted carnival excursion. Be sure to watch all the way through as I have something that will help feed your next horror adventures. Now let's get into it and have some fun.
I work at a small retail store. It shouldn't be any surprise to hear that I hate it there. The work, the customers, even some of the coworkers. But it's my first job, and really the only one I was able to get with no experience. Over winter break, my school was out for 3 weeks, which meant I wasn't forced to only work closing shifts. I talked to my manager, who's
Have you ever had a job like that? Let me know in the comments below. I think most of us have had a job like that, and sadly, it is the way it is. Like, you gotta start somewhere with no experience, because how are you gonna gain experience if you don't have any experience? That's always been kind of a hamster wheel that I think a lot of people have to deal with. But yeah, let me know in the comments below the number one hated job that you've ever had is. Let me know.
said I could take up a few overnight shifts if I wanted. I gladly accepted, knowing I wouldn't have to deal with customers and mostly get to work at my own pace. I knew the overnight manager, Chris, and when I came in for my first overnight, he showed me what to get done and left me to do it. It was just the two of us, working on opposite ends of the store. Being overnight, though, it was really nice getting to work in peace and even listen to music as I did. But it only took a couple of hours for the fun of it to wear off. I was actually getting really bored and even a little sleepy, not talking to a single person. It was just past 1 a.m., so I let Chris know I was going to take my 15. I grabbed my lunch from the fridge in the break room, then left the building and sat in my car. I scarfed down my food, hoping to have 10 minutes for a quick nap. But before I rested my eyes, I noticed someone standing next to the building. The entire parking lot was empty and dark, with only the lights from inside the retail store on. So there was no reason for anyone to be here. The guy was looking into the windows like he was trying to see inside. It was so odd that I felt like I had to stay awake to watch the guy. He looked like a pretty tall dude with short hair, wearing a dark leather jacket and some old boots.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to take a nap out in my car if someone like that was standing in front of the store. It's just kind of an odd time to be kind of lurking in front of the store that late at night, don't you think? Would you be able to sleep? I don't think I would be.
I watched him for the rest of my break, so a whole 10 minutes, and the guy still stood outside and was just watching in the windows of our store. Having to clock back in, though, I got out and started walking toward the front doors. I was walking fast, hoping to slip by without the guy having a chance to stop me. But before I even got halfway through the parking lot, he spun around and looked at me. His eyes were dead and sleepless, and he had a blank face. I kept walking, trying to make it to the door, but the guy immediately started walking over to me. He was maybe 10 feet away as I came up and started unlocking the door, and he called out to me as I hurried inside and locked it behind me. I just ignored him out of a gut feeling that he was up to no good. Maybe it was harsh of me to not at least see what he wanted, but at the time, I just had a really bad feeling about him. I made my way to the back to
Yeah, I think it was smart to listen to his intuition because in situations like that, you just don't know. And during the day, I think it would have been fine to have him approach him like that or to have at least communicated with him. But when it's that late at night and your intuition is telling you something bad is about to happen, I really think it's important to listen to that because a lot of people don't really listen to their intuition that much. And they get themselves in dangerous situations because of that. So if there's ever anything telling you that something is off, definitely listen to it.
To use the bathroom, then was back on the sales floor a few minutes later. I wanted to get back to work, but I felt tempted to check on the front windows and see if the guy was still creeping around out there. So I walked up to the front, expecting to see his creepy eyes staring through the window, but he wasn't there, not even anywhere in the parking lot. I figured he left for good, so I went back to the aisle I was working in. Another few minutes went by. It was probably 1:30 by now, when suddenly the alarm sounded through the building. I knew exactly what it was right away. It was the back door that was in the storage area of the building. Sometimes the managers would toss stuff in the dumpster out back and accidentally trip the alarm. But with only Chris working, it seemed really unlikely. I started making my way to the back of the store, but the closer I got to the doors to the storage room, the more the bad feeling crept up inside of me. If it was Chris, surely he would have shut off the alarm by now. Then I got to the back, and just before I entered, I heard a bunch of thuds coming from the other side. I quickly pushed open the door, and the sound stopped. Down the large hallway, I could see the back door wide open, and there was no sign of Chris anywhere. "Chris?" I called out. He didn't respond, but instead, a moment later, a head peered around the corner on the other end of the hallway. I recognized that man's creepy dead look right away and felt my whole body tense up. After hesitating, I went right back the way I came, not stopping for anything until I got outside and into my car. I called 911, and it was as I did that I realized I still had no idea where Chris was.
Yeah, that would be super creepy to be in the back room like that and have that guy's creepy head just appear from one of the boxes. I feel like intruder stories like this are always the creepiest because they're the most likely to happen of any of the other stuff that could happen to you. And yeah, it's just super creepy. That would be really chilling.
Cops arrived quick though, running into the building and searching the whole place. Thankfully, they found Chris unharmed. He had locked himself in the manager's office after the guy broke in and chased him. He also explained the thud noises I heard, saying the man was pounding on the office door and trying to break it down. The guy ran away as soon as I did, so he was gone before the cops could get to him. We have a blurry image of his face from the security cameras printed out and hung up on the back wall so other employees can keep a lookout for him. As far as we know, he hasn't come back, and there's no saying what he was trying to do that night. I'm just lucky that my gut feeling was working well that night.
Yeah, I would definitely say that guy's gut feeling was working well that night. And honestly, like I said before, you just gotta listen to it. I think that anyone can tap into it when it's necessary. And I think it's just important to not be naive. Because when you're naive, you're too trusting. And unfortunately, in this world, there are a lot of assholes out there that mean harm. And so you can't trust everyone. In fact, there's very few people that you can trust. And like, I'm not trying to be super dark or anything like that, but you just really have to be careful about who you trust and who you let into your world and stuff like that. But overall, I thought this was a creepy story. And what do you think that guy was up to? Do you think he wanted to harm them? It sounded like he wanted to harm them to me, but because otherwise he could have stolen something from the grocery store. I'm not sure that stealing was his ultimate motive, but yeah, I thought this was a creepy story, and I hope you enjoyed the music and my commentary, and I will see you in the next video.